check out that flower. Hey everyone, this is DWS Darius, and right now you're looking at the backyard pond. So I had to make this video because look at this iris. I mean, I didn't expect it to flower, and not only did it flower, it's so many flowers. Yeah, this is the backyard pond. Definitely one of my most relaxing setups. If I could change one thing, it would just be to make it larger. It's 1,000 gallons. I would make it 10,000 gallons. I just don't have the yard space for it. So for what I have, for the space that I have, definitely a very enjoyable setup. So we have the two giant irises. This one right here, it has to be about 5 feet tall. Didn't even know they grow so big, and almost my height, and I'm 6 feet tall, so that's pretty awesome. Besides that, I have this plant right here that I pulled from a nearby lake, and that has its own types of blooms. We have these little things, another type of plant that I got from a nearby lake. Even the iris I got from a nearby lake. But this right here I pulled from a nearby lake. Doing awesome, creeping Jenny, creeping nicely. Just spring is awesome. Pond with natural elements, with natural light, very rewarding. The bog, we got some nice growth. We got growth with the lilies, fish over there doing their thing. I'll see if I can give you guys a quick feeding. So just some tetra, they love this tetra fish food just because, well, maybe the flavor, but also the size. This size, that type of pellet, focus. That size is just awesome. All the fish can eat it, no matter what size. Yeah, definitely very relaxing. And this is really the best time to feed them because the sun right now is right there. And we have a perfect shot at the pond, crystal clear water. You can see everything that's going on. So right there in the center, we have a pumpkin seed sunfish. You can kind of see the shape of it. We have 3 sunfish in here. We have 2 Chinese high-fin banded sharks. I'm not seeing them now, but they're in here. Turned up the waterfall, and now you can actually see the high-fin banded sharks. Both of them right next to each other. You see one right there in the center of the rock, and the other one right next to him. Let me come over here. Oh, tripping and falling. Both of them right next to each other. The only major complaint that I have is with the birds. The birds like to come and rip up my moss. You can see there's patches of moss missing. Up there the moss looks unsettled, and that's because there's bugs underneath the moss, and the birds, they go digging through it and they dump it all in the water, and it gets attached to my filter, clogs the filter. So that's the only headache about the pond. Besides that, absolutely amazing. Now while everything over here has been doing awesome, that is not the case with the second pond over here. So that pond over there is about 1,000 gallons, the main pond. But if you follow the channel, you know that I've had this smaller 90-gallon above pond for a couple of years as well. And this thing, you can see I drained it because I was just the other day planning on breaking it down. So with this pond, I was just using it to grow out plants, and I would bring tropical fish out here. And the thing is, it's an above ground pond, so that means it only runs during spring, summer, and the beginning of fall, because during the winter this thing will freeze completely because it's above ground. Had it been underground, it could have lasted the entire year because the fish would go under without worrying about freezing. But this thing sometimes freezes completely solid, and that's one of the reasons why I haven't been too successful. Another reason is because I don't know what came first. I think the peach tree was here, but it was small, and then we put this here, and this thing has these little baby peaches which eventually become big. They fall into the water. I try to get out as much as I can, but you know, I miss some, and those peaches deteriorate, and also the leaves coming from the tree, all that falls in the water, has a huge impact, and because of that I've been getting a ton of algae. Another thing that went wrong was that this was the season I wanted to try to run this pond without a filter, and for the first month it was a complete failure, and that's why it is empty now. The water was completely green, the plants that I added died, and it's just because it wasn't balanced. For this thing to be perfectly balanced, it is a little bit more of a struggle because we're in this area, we have a lot of shade, and then once again this peach tree dropping off all these different leaves and stuff are causing a lot of algae to build up, and it's very unbalanced. On top of that, without a filter, on the bottom I have a dirted substrate. I actually was digging through to see how deep it is. I don't know what I was thinking, but I have about 5 inches of dirt. I know when I first set this up it was dirt on the bottom and gravel, but over the years of planting plants and uprooting plants, the dirt and the gravel got mixed up, so now it's just dirt and gravel mixed. So whenever you move something, whenever you try to catch a fish, this entire thing becomes completely muddy, and because of that I was discouraged, and I was just ready to break it down and just use it for, I guess, another bush or something. Now today was actually supposed to be the day where I was going to break it down, but I got another idea that could possibly make this thing a little bit more enjoyable, while at the same time making it be able to function without a filter. And I'm going to try that and see if it works. So right here you see I have a piece of iris. This is the same iris that you saw over there in the pond, smaller piece, and I'm hoping that I could get this to grow in here. If I could get this iris to grow in here, I know that the iris develops a very strong root system. And if I can't show you because it's like in pots and everything, but the root system will lock up this dirt and it will become so compact that the dirt won't fly up as easily, and I believe that will help keep the water clean. On top of that, you see these two bricks right here. I have these two bricks and I have a 20-gallon tank right there, and I was thinking, what about an inverted aquarium on this side over here? So let's see if I could do this with one hand. Put this one like so, and then this one like that. You see all the mud just around there, and when I was digging under, there's a bunch of worms under there. Surprisingly, this thing has been underwater all year, and yet at the bottom it was dry and it was worms. Now this is liner, so it's not actually connected to the main ground, so I'm not sure how those worms got in there, but they're not just in there, they're thriving. There's a bunch of them. Okay, and now to put the tank on top, let me see if I could sit that right here. And there we have an inverted pond aquarium. From there we get the hose and we start filling it up. Now, like the issue that I addressed earlier, any type of movement in this pond, because the dirt is just loose and on top, any movement will cause this thing to produce brown, disgusting looking water. So I'm hoping that once I get this thing full, of course most of the dirt will set to the bottom, but I'm hoping that this plant takes off and just locks up the root system and causes that dirt to be held more tightly in. From there I turn on my aqua lifter pump. What this does, it pumps water and it pumps air. Right now I'm using it to pump air. I'm pumping air out of the tank. When air is gone, it makes way for the water to come up. So I have this one tube coming in, and it's all the way up here pumping air. It comes in the machine and comes out this hole, and I have air coming out of here to proof. So that is the air coming out of that. Now this thing is extremely slow, and it's good and bad. It's bad because it's probably going to take a half an hour for it to take out that much air, and it's good because it does it nice and slow. It's not going to shock the tank. It's going to give the time for this thing to adjust, because I do have it on dirt and the dirt is unbalanced. So I think that because it is slowly filling, because the weight is slowly coming up, it's going to allow it to settle in the dirt a little bit more easily and hopefully be a little bit more stable once it's full. And about 40 minutes later, here we are, almost at the top. Unfortunately, it wasn't as equal or balanced as it could have been. So we have this side underwater and this side still needs to be filled. So I just have the hose connected to a stick. I'm probably not going to be able to get it all the way up to the tip like I would like, but we still got the tank pretty full, and because I still have this brace, it looks like it's one level. So yeah, everyone, hopefully this is the turning point for this here pond aquarium. Definitely will be very cool if it actually works out according to plan. Now, first off, I got to deal with this nasty looking murky water. Eventually, in 24 hours, most of it should settle to the bottom, but I think it's still going to be a little bit brown, still going to be a little bit murky. So I'm hoping that eventually these plants, like I said, the root system just builds up. I put another one in there, and hopefully that they build up a strong root system, and that just keeps that dirt nice and compact. When the water starts to clear up, I might put some floating plants like a nacris or something in here to help fight with algae, because this thing will be terrible if it gets covered with algae. So plants like that will help compete for algae and make it so that that's not a problem. But then eventually I'll have to find something to keep this peach tree from dropping peaches in there, like a little shade for it. But definitely has a lot of potential. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop, and I'm gonna come back in 24 hours to give you guys a look at how clear it gets. So here we are. So it hasn't been 24 hours, instead it's been an entire week, and that's just because it's taken so long to get clear. Even now it's not as clear as it could be. Part of it is my fault. I was adding plants, and I added that plant right there, and it fell to the bottom. It has a bunch of dirt in it, released the dirt, so while it was much more clearer, I dropped dirt in there, and so now we have to restart the process, and it's taking longer to clear out. Also, as you've noticed, I've added a filter just because it was taking so long to get clear. So this is a DIY filter. We have a orange juice container, we have a power head, we have some filter media, and that's filtering the water. Besides that, the plants that I added, this water palm came out of one of my aquariums. I added this right here yesterday. This is a black taro elephant ear, a plant that I've wanted for a long time. Now when it comes to fish, one thing I know is that the fish in this setup are going to be temporal. This is an entire temporal setup. This pond or this tank right here is going to be broken down. These plants are tropical, they're going to have to come in. So I might as well do tropical fish and just break everything down at the same time, bring all the fish in at the same time. So I already have a plan of what fish I want to add. However, a couple of days ago I saw mosquito fry swimming around. So I definitely didn't want mosquitoes coming out of this thing. So I went and I put in a fish to take care of them. The first fish I could get my hands on, and that was this platy that I got from PetSmart. But then I went the other day and I cleaned my filter, and I found that guy living inside my 350-gallon filter. I say that guy, but I think he's actually a female. The good thing about this tank being outdoors, if I could focus, you can see on the stomach those colors on the stomach. That indicates that that is a female pink convict. So yeah, these two are in here just for mosquito control, and since they've been in here, I haven't seen any mosquito larvae swimming around, which is a good thing. But those are not the intended fish for this setup. I do have a different group of fish coming, group of cichlids. I bet you guys you can never guess what cichlids are coming in here, but we're just going to take it day by day. My fish will be arriving next week. By then, hopefully these plants are starting to come alive. Hopefully the water is crystal clear, and then we can definitely enjoy it more. So until then, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you on the next one.